Uh, I think it's a good afternoon. I'll explain in a little while, but uh, welcome to Dave's Dugout. I'm Dave Schimpf, and this is my softball podcast, and it's all about softball. Even though a little while here I'm going to talk about something besides softball, but it is all about softball. Uh, I have a toll-free number, which is 8337 Dugout. 8337 Dugout. So if you'd like to call and talk about anything related to softball, chat for a while, maybe get some rule explanations or whatever, feel free to call me, okay? Uh, my phone is usually on from noon to 6, okay? Every day, noon to 6. So also, I have an email address, which is daveumpire@aol.com. daveumpire@aol.com. So if you'd like to maybe order one of my mugs, which is this, it's in reverse. Sorry about that for the video. Uh, my also the same emblem was behind me. It's my neon sign. Or if you want to order a book, you can go to and ask me about that, uh, or things related to softball. Okay, I don't want you to email me related to things not softball. So uh, we've got other people that do that, and I have no problem with that. So anyway, one of the things I like to talk about first is I wasn't sure I was going to have a podcast today. Due to the high water, and I'm going to explain this real quickly. I'm about Our house is about 12 foot above the road, and across the road is an open field, and just past the open field is the Tibbawasee River. Okay, uh, it's it's been flooding. Okay, over there, and Wednesday, Wednesday morning, early morning, right around midnight, we had sirens going off. We had tornado warnings. Actually, had 3 tornado touchdowns in Saginaw County, and we had heavy rain all through the night. And because of the heavy rain, uh, when Wednesday morning dawn came and it broke, and I was able to get up and look out, I had this much water in my driveway underneath my carport. That is a good probably 6 inches of water towards the drain, and towards the back of the house, it was about 2 inches high or more. Now you're asking me, now how could that be if you had a drain? Because once the ditch out front filled up, and once the field started filling up, there was no place for the water to go. So therefore, it started backing up into the drain, just like it does in a house, but it started backing up into a drain in my driveway, and it would not allow the water to drain. So therefore, once that started, then it started draining a little bit seepage into my man cave. Unfortunately, this is the floor of my man cave. And as you can see, maybe you can see it, but it's water, and it's about an inch and a half deep. And I had to, my son came over with his pump. We started pumping water out of the driveway, down the road, down the driveway into the field, and then we also started wet backing and doing things like this. Prior to this, I had it about a week or so ago. I had it, and he put sandbags, but because it all happened in the middle of the evening, uh, the sandbags was not able to be put down. So this is the problem I had. I actually got the water wet backed up. We had fans running all through the night last night into this morning. So I just took the fans away, and I've got a little bit of standing water, a little bit of, just in the other end of the man cave. So I'm able to sit here, but I'm not going to make this a very long episode today because I've got work to do. Okay. Uh, I also wanted to show you just to show you where the river is in relation to the house. That is the front across the road, and we now have lakefront property. That there are logs laying there from a tree that was cut down a while back, and they're going to probably start coming across the road shortly. I took this picture about an hour and a half ago, and it's much higher now. The township has already put barricades up along River Road, and so therefore there's already some standing water coming across further down the road. This is another view, and you can see from this view how close it is for the water coming across the road. So it's not very much, not much to go before it starts hitting the road. So just to give you a picture of what we're up against. And just a few days ago, that water was gone, just about all gone, up until Wednesday morning. So that's where I'm at. So, enough of that. Today, I'd like to talk about just a few subjects. I've got a thing to show here. I think we already went through this. Okay, not going to talk about this. Sorry about that. Sorry. Hang on a second. I'm going to go back to this because what I'm going to talk about is not a video today. It is the strike zone. It is the strike zone in high school and NCAA and also women's and men's fast pitch and softball, whether it be I represent USA Softball as a commissioner. I don't represent them on this website. This website is trademarked USA Softball. My trademark, Dave's Dugout, does not represent USA Softball of Michigan or USA Softball nationally. Okay, so just want to let you know. But today we're going to talk about the strike zone because with the games going on in the Federation and NCAA and with men's and women's games coming up and USA Softball, I thought we'd talk about the strike zone. This is what the strike zone looks like, okay? This is the strike zone. In the green, that is the Federation strike zone. The red is the NCAA strike zone, okay? In the green, if you're an umpire calling Federation ball, you should be calling whatever is in the green there a strike, okay? According to the book, it's the shoulders, armpits, shoulders to the knees and just below, okay? That is the Federation strike zone. All right? As you can see where the ball is, outside corner, inside corner. And as you notice, when you draw the line vertical from the edge of the plate, it actually doesn't, the ball doesn't go through the plate, does it? The ball is on the edge of the plate, all right, in Federation. So any part of that ball that touches the plate should be considered a strike. Any part of the ball, because that's what the book reads. Any part of the ball that comes within the strike zone, within the plate, is a strike. Now, NCAA calls that the river. Well, we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay? Any part of that ball that comes in there, in that green area, should be called a strike in Federation ball. And don't hesitate on that. Okay? don't hesitate calling that a strike, because that's what it is. Now, there are certain levels of play in Federation ball. We know this. We've got the higher levels and the lower levels. Doesn't differentiate when it comes to high school ball. Now we know that we'll call JV ball and varsity ball. Okay. Now you're an umpire. You do what you need to do to call the strike in different levels of ball. All I'm saying is that is the strike zone in Federation, and you should be calling that strike zone. Okay? Now, let's talk about the NCAA and the red zone. We talked about what was called the river just a little while ago. The river is the part between the batter's box and the plate, and it's basically the width of that softball right there. Okay? So it's basically, that is called the river. If the ball is in the river, do not call that a strike. Okay? If the batter gets hit in the river, that should be an award. I'm sorry, that should not be an award if they're not getting out of the way. All right? They don't have to get out of the way in softball, in Federation and NCAA. They do not have to avoid. So anyway, what I'm saying is, if they're in the batter's box in NCAA and they get hit by a pitch ball, whether or not they avoid it or not, doesn't matter. The ball rolls up and hits them. They get awarded first base. Dead ball. But let's talk about the strike zone. The strike zone in NCAA is any ball that is within that red area. Anything within that red area. Now you're going to see a little dotted line. You see that dotted line that goes across towards the batter's waist? That is the NCAA strike zone, basically. I know you're saying, wait a minute, you said the red was. Well, the red is not NCAA strike zone. Let's make that emphatic. If you call that high pitch in the NCAA, wow, you're going to be in trouble. Okay? The NCAA wants the strike zone called about where that dotted line is, which is about the navel on a batter. Okay? To the area above the knees. Above the knees. Not at the knees, not below the knees, above the knees is NCAA. So where you see that white dotted line and where you see that bottom red line, that is the NCAA strike zone. That's why when you watch games on TV or if you go to watch them in person, that is where the umpires are told to call the strike. Okay? Now, let's talk about the red area in the USA softball or maybe some other associations. All right? That red area. I'm just going to make sure this stays in play here. The red area. That is the men's strike zone. Okay? That is the women's strike zone in fast pitch. That's the men's strike zone in modified. Or the women's strike zone in modified. All right? However, again, it depends on the level of ball and what you may get away with and what you can't. Yeah, you're saying, wait a minute, the rule book doesn't say that. Of course it doesn't say that. Of course it doesn't say that. I'm telling you what the rule book says. Rule book says that is a legitimate strike. Armpits to the knees. Okay? Armpits to the knees is the strike zone. Call that pitch. Okay? Call that pitch. It's coming up. It's all coming up right pretty soon in Michigan here as far as associations starting to play ball once water recedes. But anyway, wanted to bring that to everybody's attention. Okay? Now, I'm going to put this down so we can talk about umpiring a little bit. Okay? We're going to talk about umpiring a little bit and what should be done. Okay? There are times when we have to deviate. I know. You're looking at me and you're waiting. Okay? There are games that sometimes go very long, very high score. Would you believe I just seen on Facebook the other day there was a 99 total runs scored in high school softball record. It was 55 to 45. 55 to 45. Just happened. Set a new record for softball. Girls Federation softball. 99 runs. How many hits? 21. Only 21 hits. Okay? Thank goodness it wasn't me behind the plate. Well, it wouldn't be me behind the plate, but if it was, you'd have to, excuse me for saying this, but you'd have to shoot me. You'd have to put me out of my misery. All right. Yeah, you can get some bad games, and I've had some, and there's not much you can do when pitchers can't throw strikes. However, there are some things you need to do, and that is, where does the ball touch the strike zone? Umpire judgment, right? Umpire judgment. We don't have lines out there. We don't have boxes out there to tell us like where the strike is. We don't have the question like they do in Major League Baseball now, where they can tap their helmet and say, we want to review that so-called ball or strike call. Okay? We don't have that. But we do have what we call survival. All right? Survival. To have 99 runs scored in a high school softball game just doesn't cut it. Okay? There was a lot of hits batters in that game, and there was a whole lot of base on balls because I looked at the box score. Okay? Unbelievable. Now, there are some games that I've had in high school, JV games. They were in their 20s. Okay? Yes. They're in their 20s. Sometimes the coaches help out by having, I shouldn't say they have them, but just by chance, runners take off from base early. Okay? Very helpful, but I'm not saying the coaches order that. All I'm saying is it happens. Wink, wink. Okay? And then sometimes they basically say, Blue, help us out here, will you? Some of these JV games are timed at 2 hours. And in the cases when you can't get pitchers throwing strikes, you're lucky if you can get 3 innings in. Okay? So all I'm saying is let's call the strike zone correctly. Let's do what's needed correctly. Okay? And leave it go at that. Softball started. I plan on going to see God willing and the creek don't rise anymore. I plan on going to see a game tomorrow with Bill Humphrey and his grandchild Claire. We're going to go take in Midland at Bullock Creek if they play tomorrow. I'm hoping they do. It's supposed to be a nice day, dry weather, but it doesn't matter. Maybe they got so much water they won't be able to get it in. I'll have to check that out. But we're planning on taking in a game tomorrow. Take one in. Watch some high school ball, okay? Watch some college ball. There's got to be a game close by. I can't emphasize it enough. Go out there and enjoy yourself, especially tomorrow. It's supposed to be a beautiful day. So let's go out there and watch some games, all right? Anyway, we're here. Think spring, it's here. It's not dry, but it's spring. Have a good one. Bye.